This is another look at my personal collection of Bally Arcade, Astrocade documentation. This is going to be part 4, where I explore boxes 6 and 7. In this section, we go through a lot of documentation. That's part of the Richard Hauser collection and the Bob Fabris collection. And one of the neat things to see is the Arcadian subscription list and lots of other documentation. Well, here's another video in the series. And this one, I'm only going to cover 2 boxes. And this one's a little different than the others. This is more of part of the collection that got me going. This is the last box I got out of the Bob Fabris collection. Paul Thacker and I, who split it in half. This box was sent, I guess, to Paul Thacker quite a few years after we bought the collection from Bob Fabris, and he found this subscriber list much later and sent it off to Paul, and Paul had it for a while and then sent it off to me. And I scanned it. Well, I didn't actually scan it because this is all on green bar, but in 2017 I scanned it. And there's actually other material in here, and there's some neat stuff. There's actually a letter I wrote to Bob Fabris in the mail from 2019 that I thought I might briefly mention. And in here is stuff that actually sort of, some of it anyway, it's also mixed in with the Bob Fabris collection. Some of what's in here is what got me started kind of getting the idea of I wanted to have a CD with the documentation, and eventually that turned into ballyalley.com. So I'll go through these things a little bit and we'll look in the boxes, but in these 2 cases I'm not just only going to look in the boxes. I'm going to take some of the stuff out, spread it around so you can get a little better look at it. And all of this stuff here is scanned in some way or other and is available from some source or another. And I tried to cover up my addresses. There's actually going to be some of my addresses shown, but they're like over 20 years old. And technically, if you just type in my name, you'll find my address like that. So, I mean, it is what it is. Let's see. We'll start with this one, I think, and I'll show you what the subscriber list is, and then I'll go into this one. Let's get started. This is the shallow box. This top page is a letter I wrote when I had my Orphan Computers and Game Systems newsletter in the late 90s, and I wrote it to Bob Fabris, and I was asking him some stuff. I'm going to take most of the stuff out of this box, and I'm going to look through it a little bit at a time and share with you some of what's in here. But it's interesting. I had several email addresses, old phone numbers are in here, but a lot of this is emails that were sent to Bob Fabris and he printed out, back when a lot of people would do that. Yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff in here. I don't know if you can see that very well, but this is the handwritten addresses from 1983 of people who were subscribers to the Astrocade newsletter. Underneath here a little bit more is printed on green bar. Here's some order forms of people who ordered stuff from Bob in the mid-1980s or early 1980s. All right, so I'm going to take this stuff out, spread it out in a manner that's a little easier to look at for us, and we'll continue from there. We're going to start with this letter from an incredibly cool person named Adam Triunfo. Yes, I wrote this to Bob. This was written on April 29th, 1999, and it was written when I was living in Albuquerque, and I'm still living here. This was before I moved away for a while to both California and New York. And I wrote to him and I said, Robert, I would like to draw your attention to an article in this issue of Orphan Computers and Game Systems, April 1999, called The Software CD Project for the Bally Professional Arcade. I have a few questions regarding this project. Are you still planning to narrow down your Bally collection this spring? I'm still very interested in what you have to offer. Do you have access to any of the issues of the Cursor and Basic Express? It turns out that the issues I had access to through Richard Hauser have all been accidentally thrown away by his wife. Oops. Since I will be typing in many programs using the Bally's calculator-style keypad, I was hoping that perhaps you can shed some light on a typewriter-style keypad, or keyboard I wrote. I know, I'm just dreaming. And what has happened to other Arcadian contributors, in particular George Moses? Do you know how to contact any of these fine folks? And finally, would you be interested in writing the introduction for the Bally CD? It would be great to link the history of the Bally to the present. You did such a fine job with your Arcadian newsletter that it would be a privilege to have you included on the CD. I hope to hear from you, and then I give my email address, which was at a local provider called Thuntech, and also my address at TVI, which was a local community college when I was attending there, and I gave my personal phone number. All that's obsolete for well over 2 decades. And I noticed here that he did write in George Moses' last address that he had for him. And in the meantime, we have gotten a hold of George Moses, and I think he was actually just recently interviewed too. So to answer some of my own questions here, he did narrow down his collection eventually, and I split it with Paul Thacker and myself, and Paul got one half and I got the other half, and we split the cost. I did get eventually Cursor and Basic Express, and I can't remember if I got the photocopies from Bob Fabris or someone else. I never did start typing in many programs. I got most of them on tape from various collections, because typing on that keypad, which I don't really have too much trouble with, I mean, prone to errors and things like that. What else we got here? And I never did have the Bally Alley CD project, because it morphed into ballyalley.com. All right, so we're going to move on away from this most incredible letter to, oh, and by the way, I should point out that it is not folded, and the reason it's not folded is because this was included in the envelope in which I mailed the April 1999 issue of Orphan Computers and Game Systems, so it was just right in there. So when I bought the collection, I saw a couple of pieces of mail that I'd sent off to Bob that he'd kept them all in order. I thought that was pretty neat. So these are some various emails from various people. This is that were part of like the classic gaming community back in the late 90s. Some of this is from news groups, things like that. I'm going to skip most of this because it's not that pertinent, and actually most of this has all been scanned, and some of it's not available, but I've scanned it anyway. Keep on moving along, keep on moving along. So people were talking about the Bally Arcade back in the 90s on news groups. Let's see, so this is interesting. So in, let's see, when did he do this search? This was, hey Lance, if you're watching this, your handwritten name is here on the bottom of this, Lance Squire / and then it has an old email address for you, really old. So this is from the late 90s, and he typed into Lycos, the search engine, Astrocade, and came up with these finds. Some of these I actually recognize, which is pretty cool. I mean, all of these are totally outdated, but wow. I'd like to go through this one of these days and check it out. I've actually scanned all that, and yeah, cool. All right, and next up, we have something, I think this is in particular pretty cool. There used to be a site called the Astro Sale trade page in the late 90s. This is, the last update was July 4th, 1999. And they used to sell Astrocade systems for $100, brand new. It doesn't say that here, but I happen to know it because I knew the site. Here they're saying they're completely sold out. They sold parts and accessories. They sold new controllers for $10. They sold all their cartridges, and they had a ton of them. They sold them for $5 each, but you had to order at least 6, and the shipping was free, so you get 6 brand new cartridges for $30. Power supplies that were replacements that were new for $10. Man, can't find those anymore. Let's see what else we got here. RF units for $10. Replacement dust cover, those were $10. Those were new. That's pretty neat. This guy was also selling display kiosks, and he says they're sold out, but I think the truth of the matter was no one was buying them because the shipping was so expensive, and I think he had like 10 left, and he ended up, if this is the person I'm thinking of, he ended up trashing them all, which is a shame, but I kind of understand. I mean, what was he going to do with all that stuff? All right, so that's this small list, and I'm going to show you a little bit more that was in that box, and then we'll move on. In this pile out of that box, we have sort of a list in disarray of people who are subscribers in 1983 to the Arcadian. Now this was handwritten. I think how it ended up working was Bob would take these handwritten lists, send them off to another subscriber who got his subscription for free, and that subscriber had access to a computer system, and they would type this stuff in, and they had some deal worked out where he would send Bob the labels each month to put on to the Arcadian newsletter. So there's just this top one here, and then there's some various, whole bunch of forms. So Bob, let's see, would send out these, you could get an Astrocade system in 1983, approximately for brand new for $59.95. I think this was in 83, but this is all people's orders. I mean, these are all orders. I mean, I don't know how many are here, but there are many of them. Many of them. Yeah, wow. And he took credit cards and checks. Look at that. It'd be interesting to go through these and see which ones were the most popular. Keep on going, keep on going. And those are all the things that were in that list. Some of these 2 boxes aren't really in perfect order. Volume 6 of the Arcadian, which is from what, 84? I think the subscriber list was getting pretty small. This one's all handwritten still. There might actually be some names in here that I recognize, you know. I've often thought about what happened to all these people and if some of them kept their systems around. All right, more subscriber lists. This is all just, I don't know when these are from. Yeah, Paul Thacker actually wrote a really neat breakdown of the Arcadian subscribers one time from every issue or from every year and how many people were subscribers in every state. I'd like to find that and maybe post it again. He posted it to a newsletter, to the to the discussion group, but I don't know if it's ever been put on to the ballyalley.com. I can't remember if I ended up moving it there or not. So that's these more lists, and I'm going to show you the green bar list, and then I'm going to move along. This is the final paperwork in that box. These are just more subscribers, and what I want to do is get past some of these ones that are just on white and get to a couple of other lists here. Here we go. So here are the green bar lists that I was talking about. For those not familiar with the term green bar, this is what this kind of paper is called. It was usually used in mainframe institutions, so it could fit 132 characters. That was the standard size for this at the time. And I actually have experience programming on mainframes when I was taking classes in the 1970s, or 1970s, in the 1990s, and we were learning COBOL, which was really strange at the time because it was such a dead language. Although, as it turned out, my instructors were right, and I graduated in May of 1999, and one of the easiest jobs at the time to get was for the year 2000 change that was coming up was to find jobs in the COBOL industry, and that seems to be the case now too. So pretty weird. So this is a 1979 subscribers list, and I just thought I'd paw through this a little bit. I mean, this is a subscribers list from 41 years ago. Yeah, this is all been documented there. I had no way to scan this, so I took pictures of each of these pages. But this might be the list that. Check this out. Yeah, I'm going to pause this for a second and flip this around so it's a little easier to see. This is interesting, and I think this is partially where there was a. This is a subscriber list from October 29th, 1982, and it was printed then. And it's these were all sent. The newsletters, the Arcadian newsletters, were sent out in bulk. So everything had to be sorted into order of zip codes. And he also, the very last report that's generated from the subscriber list, is sorted by state. And so Paul Thacker took this information and put it into a spreadsheet and came up with some numbers here. But I can give you the numbers generally. In 1982, there were 2,147 subscribers to the Arcadian newsletter. And of the female and the male subscribers that they did know for sure which was which, there were 132 female subscribers, 1,843 male subscribers. Some of them are non-persons, which meant there were companies or institutions. Some of them are both. So there were some would be addressed. So say it was to both me and my wife, it might have been addressed to Valerie and Adam. Let's break down New Mexico. How many subscribers were in New Mexico? 3. I actually know and met in the 90s one of those subscribers. He had a local not Bally Alley user group, but he had a local Astrocade user group here for a little bit. But let's see what has the most subscribers. The most subscribers appears to be in Ohio and New York. In Ohio, there was 285 subscribers. I'm not sure if this is actually even coming out, so this probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But information like this is hard to come by. And Kevin Bunch, if you're watching this video, let me know if this is useful to you in any of your research that you're doing on the Astrocade. I find this fascinating, but maybe it's more than fascinating. Maybe it's unique in some of the collecting circles for classic consoles. If you have comments about that, leave them to the discussion group or even on this video. Probably the discussion group would be better to talk about it rather than even in person, because I'd like other people to be part of this conversation. So I'm going to wrap up this box. That's the last of what's in this box, and we'll go through and make our way through the other box now. This is the second and final box that we'll be covering in this video today. I'm going to be taking all of this information out, at least parts of it, to do a little close-up. All of this information has been scanned already, I think 100% of it's available on Bally Alley or in some format that's been archived on archive.org by myself. And this is from two places. This is from, most of it's from Richard Hauser's collection, and some of it is from the collection of Bob Fabris, and it didn't fit in other boxes, so it got shoved in here. And if you've seen some of my other videos in the series, I mean, if it wasn't for Bob Fabris keeping his collection in some kind of order, I don't know if I would have been able to put it in order. I'm kind of orderly, but not so much. So I'm going to go through this collection and show it a little about what's in here. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do, and I want to show off some of this information because I think it's neat. All right, let's check it out. This is a small portion of the information that was in that last box I was just showing you. Here we have the instruction manual for the very rare Machine Language Manager cartridge that was written and released by Bit Fiddlers. Andy Guevara wrote that. He was actually featured in an interview that Kevin Bunch did recently, and I posted in my podcast. This is a high quality little manual. Thanks for putting this together for us. This is actually a cardboard cover. It's kind of unique that I can think of. I can't think of another cartridge that came with the source code for its own program in it. So here, this is the manual, but this is the Goldfish demo. And if we keep on going, I'll show you. The cartridge had its own source, if I can get to it. Anyway, here's the source code for the program, and it came with the manual so that you could take advantage of the listing. So pretty neat. I don't know of any other program that's ever been released that way for another console, but I'm sure I'm probably wrong. I'm sure I must be. Yeah, Astrocade probably isn't unique in that way, but I'd like to know of another console that's like that. So if you know, please leave some comments. Let's see what else is in here. Here's just a random basic program. I scanned this in 2018, and possibly from Mike White. I threw it in this box. And here, this is something I knew I had, but back in 2001, people were talking about the nutting manual, and I didn't know what it was. And someone posted that in a news group or something like that, that it was like one page of it. And I'd seen this before, and I didn't understand. This is the nutting manual, by the way. It's a poor scan, or it's a poor photocopy from probably the early 1980s. And I've shown this in other videos, so I'm not going to go into detail. But I was like, wait a second, I think I have that. And I pulled this out, and lo and behold, I already had the nutting manual, and I had been searching for it, not knowing what exactly I was looking for in the late 90s and early 2000s. Yeah, so that's this, because it's not like it says nutting manual on here anywhere, and it's not really called the nutting manual either, but that's what it's referred to nowadays. Okay, let's see what else was in that box. This gray folder holds some various documents that I've scanned and put online. On this side we have the source code for the Bally demo cartridge. This source code is from October 29th, 1979. This is not the basic demo cartridge, it's for the Bally one. I've actually typed this in, and you can, I think it's I don't remember, it's either a 2K or 4K program. And you can buy this somewhat, it's not a common cartridge, but it's not as uncommon as you'd think. But yeah, this is the Z80 source code for it. This is a pamphlet that was handed out to people from various places. This is the white Astrocade. I've got it in a plastic thing to protect it. Here's a picture of a Z-Grass that never came out. This is just a demo. I don't know what that is exactly. I don't think I've seen it in other pictures. And here we have a letter from Mike White along with his Tricks of the Trade series, and all these have been scanned and I put them online. So there's a special place under the basic section for Mike White's Tricks of the Trade, and he sent me better copies of them in the early, whoops, sorry about that. He sent me better copies of them in the early 2000s. Oh, this is really cool. I think I have scanned this. I can't remember if I was able to stitch it together. This is a flyer for the Datamax UV1, which is a variant of the Z-Grass language, which uses a variant of the Z-Grass language, and was a computer that costs, depending on how you bought it, up to $10,000 in early 1980s. So pretty expensive. Then we have comparison product description that compares the Astrocade against other products of the time period. This is the source code for the 300 baud to 2000 baud loader. This was written by Jay Fenton in 1981. This was actually included in the Bally Basic Manual, and it you could type it in, so you could load through the 2000 baud interface the old 300 baud programs. But this is the source code, and it's just a short program, but like this is commented, and I think this has been used and has been typed in too. It's amazing how much information is out there for the Astrocade. This is the bankruptcy plan from Astrocade from March 1984. This is online. This is also, I think, something that you can find around the internet in various places in like a downloadable form as well. But there's a piece in here that explains what happened to Astrocade. I think it's in this one. It might be in another one that I read online that talks about, you know, let's see. It doesn't say here how much. Oh, here we go. There's compensation of $39,959 for reimbursement of expenses. I don't know, just pretty cool stuff. It also explains what happened to Astrocade. Some of it does. Here's stuff from Nitron. Nitron are the people who actually made the Astrocade custom chips, and I think put together the information for, or put together the Astrocade for Astrocade Inc. And they went out of business when they weren't able to be paid from Astrocade, unfortunately. Yeah, there's sad. So this is from November 1984. It's a letter to Bob Fabris talking about that they can't function as a company anymore, basically. Yeah. What do we have here? This is something, last chance to get your Astrocade cartridges. Oh, so this is a little bit earlier. I was showing that people were ordering Astrocades. So this is 1984, and this was something that the Arcadian mailed out. I don't know if it was sent to all their subscribers, but to many of them. It says, this may be your last chance to get an Astrocade cartridge at rock bottom prices, ordered in time for Christmas. And that's what those hundreds and hundreds of pages were in that last box that were from this exact thing. They sent this to him, and he photocopied them and then filled his orders as they came. So all the games were $4.95, or most of them were. The later games, such as Pirate's Chase, Incredible Wizard, and Solar Conquerors, which is actually not called Solar Conquerors, it's called Solar Conqueror, but and for some reason Artillery Duel, which I thought was a common cartridge, is $24.95, and Basic, Astro Basic was $19.95, and the system would have cost you brand new from Astrocade $59.95, and an Astrocade complete system was $99.95, and it came with 15 cartridges, and some other stuff. I can't read it there. I don't have my glasses on. What else we have in this little thing here? A newspaper article that says it's from. This is scanned and online as well. This is from the Intelligent Machines Journal, and it's a little article about what's going on with from 1979 in the Astrocade. And I think that's all I'm going to show from this little section, and then I'm going to dig in deeper into some more information that was in that box. In this folder we have various information, extended basic commands, a letter from someone named Earl, George Moses' letter, a preliminary Astro Basic manual, the Bally service manual, some joystick information, and some other stuff. It might not all be in here still, but I'm going to flip through this. And this was all scanned by me, or some of it was even retyped because I'm a fool. But back in like 2000 or so when I did this, it was not as easy to come by storage space at the time. So I'll zoom in just a bit here to get you a little bit better look at what you're looking at here. So this is something written by Tom Wood, who was a big member of the Astrocade community, or at the time it was called the Bally Arcade community in the late 70s, and he went through and figured out and wrote so people could understand how to call the Bally onboard subroutines from BASIC and use them. So that was about, I don't know, 20, 30 pages or something like that. Yeah. So here's a dump of the Bally onboard ROM from April 26, 1978. So I don't know how he did it. He must have dumped it using a ROM dumper at that time and then done some work with a mainframe or something. Tom DeFonte, the person who I talked about earlier, who was responsible for the UV1 project and worked at the University of Illinois in the Chicago Circle art community, he wrote an article in the Byte magazine. My first look at it was through this photostat of it, and this is I actually have online now a copy of it from Byte magazine. It's really colorful because it's got some great video art, video art in non-moving form from the magazine pictures that were you can see them here, but they look much better from the magazine. What else we have here? Oh, this is also, he describes ZGrass. So this is a look at how the ZGrass language would work, which is, there's no version of it out there that we can find. If you know how to get ZGrass, let us know. What else we have here? We have some of the new commands that were added to Astro Basic, or not Astro Basic. Well, some of these were in Astro Basic, but most of them not. These are new commands that are added to like BlueRAM Basic, just basically the extended basics. Let's see, and they're all handwritten. I think I retyped all of this. I'm a fool, I tell you. What else we got? Oh, this is pretty cool. So maybe it was in '82 or so. If you subscribed to the Arcadian, you got a free 14 or 20 pages. It's going to be a pain to take out of there, so I might not. Oh, there we go. You got this for free. What this was a handout. Let's see how many pages I said it was. And these pages are all sticking together. It says it's only 9 pages there, but maybe it's out of order or something. It's more than 9 pages. Yeah, they're not in order for some reason. But you would get a whole bunch of programs you could type in, and they were from, like this is from volume 2, so in 1980, I guess, if you subscribed, or maybe it was in 81, you would get this listing of some of his favorite programs from that, so that you could get started using your Astrocade right away. And have some programs to use. Yeah, pretty cool. Without Bob Fabris, I'm not sure where people would have been when Bally wasn't supporting the Astrocade for nearly a year. All right, let's see what else is in that box. This is one of my favorite folders. Everything in here has been scanned. It's scanned very early on. I'd say in about 2000 or so. So 21 years ago, and it's quality. I mean, they're 300 DPI scans, but they're black and white. And this one could. I'm not going to rescan it because I don't have patience for that kind of stuff anymore. But what it does have is it's got some color stuff. And so some of this has been scanned in grayscale because of that, but most of it wasn't. And these, Richard Hauser, who had the catalog, I'm going to scan and I guess I get a little bit better picture here. Or not scan, I'm going to zoom in. How's that looking to you? I can't tell. I'm looking at a screen that's about 2 inches by 3 inches wide. So he sorted information and programs from various sources, and in this case he's got a little breakdown here. If it's in blue, it's from the Arcadian. If it's yellow, it's from a newsletter. If it's green, it's from Bally, and if it's got a little cent symbol, he bought it and he paid for it. So I'm going to skip over to the other side so I can read this so it's not upside down. But he's got programs he paid for called Laser Battle. I don't know where he got them from, but there must have been an ads in the Arcadian, and I don't think a lot of this stuff has actually been archived. I mean, it's archived in this format, but it's not available to play it if you wanted to try it. Some of it is. So yeah, he really kept order to his what he bought. But what's kind of neat about this, I'm going to turn this so you can see a little bit better. How's that? How does that look to you? I'm going to zoom in on that, and you'll see that he was very, very organized indeed. So this was, I mean, this is a game console, but he's treating it, Richard Hauser treated it like it was a computer, and so did many others in this time period. So he was buying, this is all software either released on tape, most of it not, most of it you got in a form of something you could type in and you would get it mailed to you. And he kept track of everything he ordered. And so program 1 through, let's how many programs did he get here? 46 he has, not all in here, but they're, I mean, if it wasn't for Richard Hauser and Bob Fabris, the Astrocade community would not have hardly anything that was saved in an order that could be used and easily found. All right, so I'm going to turn this again so you can see, and we will continue going through this mess. I've turned to the very first program, and I'm only going to use, I'll go through the other ones quickly, but this one I'm going to show what Richard Hauser was able to do and how he was able to, and this one almost looks too long to type in, but maybe not. So this is a program called Laser Battle, and I don't know what it says here. It says Laser Battle by Bob Strand, and he paid for it, and it was originally called Space War. So he, I think Richard Hauser rewrote some of it, and what he did is he calls it Laser Battle. He starts giving some comments like these are the crosshairs for it. Here's how the box command draws it, and he broke it down so it's and line per line, rather than, in order to make this work, well, not properly, a little bit faster, all these lines would have, or many of these lines would have been combined together. I've never looked at these that closely, so it's interesting to do this. I'm doing it live on camera, probably not the best way to do it. But all of these were scanned in black and white, and they are not easy to read. That's unfortunate, but I'm not going to rescan them, so if anyone ever comes across one of these programs online that they want to see, it's available in a better format, but I was going to say you can email me and I might scan it for you again, but I'd have to go into my garage and dig it out and rescan it, and I'm not going to do that. So, I mean, the things are readable, they're just not as readable as I wish they, if I was to scan these now, they would be much better. So here we have a game called Checkers, Random Art, Renumber, Angle Game, a Lunar Lander. A Lunar Lander is, I believe, the one that is by Bally. Yeah, I think it is. We have Checkers, like I said, Simon, Amazed in Space, all this neat Super Wumpus, lots of good stuff. Fantasy, what's this? Fantasy pack. That is empty. It doesn't have anything in it. Okay. Just a couple more things I want to show because this video is getting awfully long, and then I'm going to wrap it up. This is a folder that was sent out by Datamax, the people who made the UV1 computer, and I think this is from about 1982 or so, maybe 83, but it's actually a folder, and they used it as a promotional product. And I've scanned it, but you just really can't get an idea of what this thing looks like unless you can hold it in your hand. It's high quality hard cardboard, thick cardboard. You know, it would be something that you would use for school or something, and you put your paperwork in it. And originally, I think this came with like information about the UV1 computer. This one I don't think did. I think this one was sent to me by I can't remember who. I can't remember how I got this, but I've scanned this in low quality, and I think I've scanned it for myself in 1200 DPI, like so I could show some of this art here. But if you check it out, this art is actually, I guess, high-res art. Like, let's see, can you see that? Does that look high-res to you? This would be, this was something that was drawn in the UV1, which is the Astrocade basically in high-res mode. Yeah. Look at that. That looks like a fractal. Yeah. We'll look at the back, and that's what we're going to do. I wonder if this was used in this here. I think that the UV1 was used in some places. You know how they have green screen for, like, what do you call it, for the weather and stuff like that? I think the UV1 was sold to some institutions to be used like that, but I'm not sure how. I wish I knew some more information about it. So that's one of my favorite things in my entire collection. I probably should put that aside, and I'm not going to get to it anytime soon. I'm debating with myself on camera. You know what I wish? If you've made it this far into the video, you're obviously a fan of the Astrocade and its documentation. I wish I could show you in person some of what's in here, and the reason is it just doesn't come across in a scan. It doesn't come across in a video. You have to handle it to know. And it's, you know, this kind of thing does. This is a program called Star Trek. It's on thick paper. It's handwritten. Check it out. But this here, this doesn't come across at all. What does it look like to you? Does it look like a printout of some basic program? Well, it is. Is it printed on silver paper? Sort of. Take a look at the back of this paper. See how it looks a little weird? See how it's not white? It's because this is paper that, in order to print to it, the printer would get hot and it would burn this onto there. These were inexpensive printers for their time, anyway, and they were used oftentimes in the Astrocade community because they weren't as expensive as as dot matrix printers. So sometimes you'll see a lot of this in my collection, but you can't really tell online. And this was probably all scanned in black and white too, so it doesn't look great. And you can tell for a while there, in most cases. Can you see that it says online? That means that I've scanned it and put it online. Here's stuff by WWN Software Sales, new sub search. What else we have here? Oh, and this is what happens when the pages start getting old. So this is that same kind of silver paper when it's starting to deteriorate. This is the game called Ancient Samaria. When it starts to deteriorate, it's because the chemicals in the paper that cause it to be able to heat up and turn to black on. So you see how it's just turning brown? Eventually this entire sheet of paper will be unreadable, and I mean it's readable now still, but this will start turning black, and then you won't be able to read it anymore, and this information will be lost. All right, the last thing in here. Oh, if you bought Candyman, these are the instructions that came with it. Or Ms. Candyman, the cartridge. This is, yeah, it would come folded up in 4 pieces, and this is how you got your instructions. And this is WW Software Collection. This is more of that silver paper. All right, let's move along to a couple of more things, then I'm going to wrap it up like I said already a few times, so I'm really not wrapping it up at all, am I? Here we have a stack of several folders. I'm going to try to go through these quickly, but I don't go through anything quickly. This is a postcard from, and this is printed on silver, like it's from Datamax. So this is about the some artwork, and it talks about an upcoming show using the ZGrass computer. This is scanned online, and it's on an exhibit that was from in November 23rd, 1980. In fact, maybe let's read it. Come design your own simulated African tapestries and more. We have put together an interactive graphics installation at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Ontario, in East Ontario in Chicago. It's called From Video Games to Video Art, and it runs until October 12th, 1980, after which we will have tapes on exhibit until November 23rd, 1980, all part of a group show, Video Art, the Electronic Medium, curated by Cindy Neal of the Chicago Editing Center. Wow, I'm going to put this one aside because I wonder if any of these people are available. This was a show that was Video Art in 1980. Wow. Tom DeFonte and Copper Gilloth. Tom DeFonte went on to make the UV1 along with some others. I wonder if I can find out anything and get some pictures from Video Games to Video Art. Or who curated it. Wow, that was ahead of its time. All right, we'll put that aside. This is some information from, oh wow. Well, there's some great stuff in here. I can't go through it all, but there's just so much stuff I wish I could show you guys closer, you know. Yeah, there's just wonderful information in here. This is the, what came with the Spectrum handle. So if you bought the joystick for the ICBM attack controller, this is the original documentation, which is online. And I don't have the documentation, but Robert Fabris, not Robert Fabris, Richard Hauser had that handle because he had the cartridge, but it got thrown away before I got his collection, unfortunately. Let's see what else we have here. We have some more folders. This is the original instructions for Sea Devil. Mike White and I used to exchange mail with one another. Man, this stuff is, to me, this stuff is priceless, but you know, to most people, probably not so much. Information from JSNA, some probably original. I'll check. Oh, look at this. I mean, this is online, and I think I scanned this in grayscale back in the day. But this is Pocket Fax. So this would have been if you went to a store in like 1978, 1977 maybe even, probably 1978, like a computer store. This would be hanging out probably by the front of the store, and you pick up one of these and it'll tell you about the Bally Professional Arcade Pocket Fax. And I could cover an entire video about this thing. If anyone ever saw any of these, let me know, because this is the only one I've ever seen. And I don't mean just this. I mean this. If you saw these in 1978, I'd love to hear about it. That's like, especially if seeing this got you to buy the computer. I mean, because it says something. It's a Z80. It has 32 integrated circuits. It's got 8K of ROM, 4K of random access memory. You know, and you saw this and you're like, wow, that's way better than the Atari. And at the time, the Atari would have meant the Atari 2600. So this is what they were doing to get you to get it. Look, an eject button before the Super Nintendo. All right, move on, move on, move on. Oh Lord. Now this is the University of Chicago's newspaper, and this is a, man, I should get a great copy of this, but I don't really have a way to do that easily. But there was an article in here on ZGrass in 1982. I think that article has been scanned. I don't think this entire thing has been. Oh, here's another copy of the Bally Basic demo, along with some other source code. I think maybe football is in there. Another box that says it's all been scanned. Oh, this I should rescan. These are, oh man, there's so much stuff I scanned in low quality back in the day. Leaves of ZGrass. Man, there's only a couple of these available, but the ZGrass actually had a newsletter, and I think I have like two of them, something like that. Let's see what else. Oh, some original articles that were torn out of magazines. Oh, here is what a so this is I'm going to get this out of the way so you can see it just a little bit better. You would get this if you ordered like a Wavemaker's product. This is the original documentation. You'd get it, you'd unfold it, and here's how, this has been scanned, but you just can't get your point across by looking at the scan. You have to see the original. You just have to. I have some more I want to go through, and then I'm running out of time. These are the original instructions for the Goldfish demo and for Life by Jay Fenton, which he wrote so it could be loaded into Astro Basic, and it cost $16, and I think it came with Nuke the Bastards on the back. But this is going to be, the Richard Degler version is going to be released on cartridge, I don't know, the next few months, next year, something like that, by Brent, and he might be interested. So Brent, if you're listening, there's a photocopy here, reduced in size, but from the December 1978 issue of Byte magazine that explains how Life works. I've scanned this, but I can't remember if it must be online. I don't scan stuff and then not put it online, or if I haven't put it online, it's actually in an archive that's available that anyone can download from archive.org. But Brent, if you're listening, try finding this article and seeing if it offers anything to you that you might want to include with that re-release. The Bob Fabris collection had lots of copies of the Arcadian in it that I'm not sure how exactly he worked it out, but he would make a master copy and then would use them to make other copies. And I think this was originally a master copy that he used to do that. This is volume 5, my favorite issues. So these are all in grayscale, obviously. So the versions online are in black and white, or at least the versions that are in PDF format. And this is volume 6, all of it. But these are available, and you can download them. You can download them in like a higher quality grayscale format from archive.org. But they're in, I think they're in TIFF format, so they're huge files, like just enormous. And back in the day when I did these things, there was just no way. 20 years ago, people could download on a 28.8 modem, or maybe a 56K if they were lucky, these files. There was just no way. It would have been all day. I remember downloading a 2 megabyte update for Netscape in about 1999, and it took hours. I think I was doing it on a 28.8 modem, and I think in the end it didn't even finish. Yeah, the travesties of us old people using old technology. I'm saying 1999 is old technology. The system came out in 1978. That's a little bit older, isn't it? All right, just a couple more things to show. This is volume 7 of the Arcadian. What's interesting about this, now that I think about it, is I didn't really know that there was a volume 7 of the Arcadian until quite a ways down the line, because volume 6 of the Arcadian ends and it says basically, thanks for being subscribers to the Arcadian, not doing this anymore, not enough subscribers. Well, someone else, Don Gladden I believe, took it over for 2 issues, and then he'd gotten money and stuff, and it fell by the wayside. So Bob Fabris came back, finished up 2 issues. So that volume it's about the same as all the other volumes in size, but it's only 4 volumes. And so I didn't realize that it existed. And when I found out, I contacted Bob Fabris, and in like 2001, he sent me a CD of TIFFs of volume 7, and that's where my original version of them came from. So that was nice of him. I mean, it's cool that he stuck around in the hobby for so long and was able to help people into the 90s, and even in the early 2000s, he was still selling some of his old stock that he had of software from his house. Through the mail, obviously. People didn't just come over and say, hey Bob, I think I need a version of Muncha. You send that along to me. I don't think he did that. This is a quality copy of the summer 1982 source book. I think this is probably the most popular one that was put out by Richard Hauser. It's pretty large. You could order it from like Ads and Electronic Games magazine, and it was talked about in a couple of articles printed in various magazines like Video Games in the 1982 or 83 issues. And what this is, I don't know if you can see how large it is, but it is quite large. And this is a catalog you could get way back then. You can download this, of course, in a PDF format, and not in grayscale, unfortunately. But like, if you were interested in the Astrocade, and besides just the 25 or odd games that were easy to come by, by Bally in Astrocade, then you would pick this up and you would get a whole source book of information on what you could order. So it was divided into categories: mail order, software that from the Arcadian newsletter. You had lists of all the software in the newsletters and also other places, and it tells you what page to look on. So we'll just look at a page at random after we get past all this, and we'll see an ad. So here we have an ad for L&M software, and it's for cassette number 1. I would say what games are on it. Just Hours of Fun. Cassette number 2 has Cosmic Saucer Battle and The Black Lagoon. And of course, these are, you can download these and play them on your Astrocade if you have them. Yeah, look at that. More L&M software ads. And I'll just skip. Here's a new image ad, some Mark Keller, Super Software. Oh, there we are. Here's Machine Language Manager from Bit Fiddlers. Good stuff. Video Wizards, Tiny Arcade. I think the Tiny Arcade, we don't have everything archived by them, which is kind of a shame. I would like to see all of their software. I didn't really do a good job of showing you what's here. But the Tiny Arcade, we have Space Gauntlet, Quad Run, but not like, I don't think Omega Valley. Some of these programs haven't been archived and aren't available. I think there's 1 or 2 other things to look at, and then we're done. This is Bob Fabris' original copy of the Peek and Poke manual. And I don't know if you can really make it out here, but in red ink, he crossed out "written by Fred Cornett" of the Cursor Group and put by Brett Bilbray. And that's because Fred contacted Brett and kind of put this together, sort of, but it's Brett's work, and he doesn't give him credit for it. And Brett is a big part of the Astrocade community, chimes in quite a bit on the news group, and yeah, it's a shame that he didn't get credit for it in the day. I mean, he was given credit in the Arcadian for it, but like if you ordered it from the Cursor Group, this is, oh, by the way, it explains how to use machine language from Bally Basic. And I think only Bally Basic. I don't think this, I mean, most of the stuff in here will work for Astro Basic, but it was written with Bally Basic in mind, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and I learned quite a bit about how to use, especially how to use like the weird method that you have to save machine code in for Bally Basic, because you don't have data statements available for you. So you have to, well, I'm not even going to get in how you have to do it, but it's unusual. And this opened up a lot of people's eyes. So I want to, if you're into machine language, and this is a good place to start. Although really it's for using with a basic, so you probably are going to skip something like this and just program in Z80 and make a cartridge and not try to get something that loads through the tape interface. But thanks, Brett, for writing this all those years ago. None of this is new. I covered all of this in the last segment or two. This last thing here was the Peek and Poke manual, and when I went to get something else out of the box, it turned out that was the last thing. So I wanted to wrap it up by saying this is just a tidbit of the stuff that's available on Bally Alley. If you are interested in that system, check it out. You can't go wrong by opening up a PDF and checking it out and reading it, especially the Arcadian and the Peek and Poke manual and the source book, of course. Thanks for watching. I might split this video up into 2 parts. We'll see. And in the future, I think I'm going to have to make these videos a little bit differently, because we're getting to some really densely packed books of documentation, and they're from the Bob Fabris collection. And I do want to cover them in some detail, so I might cover half a box at a time. And that's just to give some informative coverage to what's inside of them. And like I've said, every single one of these videos, all of this information has been scanned. All of it is available in some format or another. Not all of it's on Bally Alley, but what's not on Bally Alley is in a huge archive and one big dump on archive.org. And Jason Scott helped me put that there. So thanks, man, because I couldn't have done it without you. And yeah, the Astrocade's cool. Long live the Bally community, and I'll see you next time.